Hello and welcome to Honey Badger Radio. I will be your host, Alison, as we go through these vagarities of the corners of the internet that I have found. And just to remind everyone, if you want to send me a message throughout the show, please do so at feedthebadger.com/justthetip. Very best way for you to send me a tip and to send that message to me without going through YouTube's comment enhancement system. All right, let's I think we figured out how to get the AI voice working now. So why don't we just get right into it? This is an article by a dude who is not apparently on this particular one, but anyway, it is a guy who's trying to explain why there's all these women who have been recently going on to dating sites pretending to be men and finding out to their immense chagrin that the situation for men is not as they had thought. And just to get started here we go. Cross your fingers that this will work. And no void cat in sight. So
we have no clue.
All right.
Do women really have no clue?
Did that work, Brian? Did it work?
Yes.
Oh, great. All right. So now you don't have to listen to me mispronounce polysyllabic words. You can listen to the AI mispronounce them.
The relationship divas and the dating apps paradox. Author's note, this article was previously published on Hub Pages, where you can fully read it for free. Every so often, you'll encounter a woman on social media who is experiencing a rude awakening. It appears that, despite being on the receiving end of male attention, women are completely unaware of how challenging it is to actually be a man on dating apps.
Yeah, so he's remarking on the recent trend. I don't know if it's still ongoing of women going on to dating apps and pretending to be men and then just being shocked Pikachu face that their male friends were right when they said that dating is a desert for men. But yeah, so he's basically referring to that trend.
Is that really the case, though? Do women have it better and men much worse when it comes to dating apps?
Okay, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a spoiler. This man, let's just say he falls more on the simp side of the spectrum. So we could probably, just a little spoiler there.
Believe it or not, many women pretend to be men on dating apps and share their frustration online. As a man, I initially found it difficult to believe someone can even question this. Could it be that they either don't care and thus never truly considered it, or act clueless to create a greater impact and implicitly go viral?
That's a good point. Like a lot of people have pointed out that this is just pretty low-hanging fruit to go on, to be a woman, go on the dating sites and say, hey, I've discovered that the men's experience of dating is horrible.
After all, these types of confessions evoke a lot of emotion and accumulate countless views, likes, and comments. One woman only lasted 3 days before reaching what could be perceived as a misogynistic conclusion. This is the analogy of an online dating experiment.
A misogynistic conclusion, which incidentally is any criticism of women as a group, any at all, right? Even if the criticism is sort of the reverse side of something that women generally claim for themselves, like being more emotionally in tune with others' emotions and be more emotionally present and doing all the emotional labor. And then you say, well, that means that you tend to be, your decision making and your understanding of reality tends to be more emotionally driven. But no, that's a criticism. It is actually functionally and logically the negative side of a positive that women claim for themselves. But since it's a criticism, we can't do that. So women can claim all kinds of positive things for women and themselves as women, but we can't point out that anything positive, when taken to extreme, is a negative, or when put through, a bad intent, could be pursued as a negative thing. We can't point that out. So we can make generalizations about women as long as they're positive, and as long as we never point out that a lot of those positive generalizations would, by logical inference, have negative qualities associated with them. We can't do that. But I'm pointing this out because I said before that he falls more on the simp line end of the spectrum. He does. And I'm sure he's fine with positive generalizations of women, but no negative generalizations. No, not even the negatives of the positive generalization that you just made. No, you can't do that. But of course, negative generalizations of men, always a go-to, always a free action. We can all do that freely. Who cares, right? But just blame men. Just heap some more blame on men. And of course, you guys all know my position on that. I blame women, and I'm going to blame women until we are as comfortable with blaming women as we are with blaming men. Equality. Let's continue.
A home for people who want to give back to the community, write and read. Boost nominator, stalking the medium.
Oh, hey, this doesn't actually have the whole thing. Darn it. I'm going to have to go to the actual website and
Do women really have no clue?
read it out for you. I apologize, guys. This is a little bit awkward. Give me a moment here. Apparently, even though I'm logged into Medium, it will not give Speechify. Really have no clue. Medium. So we're going to have to go back to me reading things out. All right. Share this tab. I'm getting better at this. I am. I'm progressing slowly. All right. So one woman lasted only 3 days before reaching what could only be perceived as a misogynistic conclusion. This is the analogy of online dating. This is the analogy of online dating experiment. Is analogy the appropriate word here? I didn't even see this. What the heck does that mean? Like, what? Is this the analogy? Wouldn't this be like, is this the conclusion, or is this the observation of online dating experience? This is the summation of online dating experiment for women? Because I think that what he's referring to is what he says next. I'm getting into the weeds. I apologize. So this woman was pretended to be a man on online dating for 3 days, ended up reaching a misogynistic conclusion. One would say maybe this is the conclusion of people who have to date women. Like, not necessarily, it's just like an observation. But again, every negative observation of women is automatically misogynist, because positive observations are fine, but negative ones, no, we can't do that. Christina is a regular young woman posting relationship advice and opinion videos on TikTok. Sometimes she even shares her own experiences or various dating stories she's heard from her friends. I'm starting to feel like this is an ad. In her latest video, which went viral, by the way, she eagerly shares what she claims to be newfound knowledge. Most men on dating apps are invisible to women. And they're going to become more invisible. Did you guys hear about this this Tinder filter now that they have, where women can filter for height? Still no weight filter in place, just height. An immutable characteristic that you cannot change without significant effort. How did she find this new revelation, you might ask? Well, as she heard her male friend complaining about the subject, she was adamant that the guy must be doing something wrong. There was no other logical explanation. All right, so this is quoting from Christina's article, presumably. So this guy sort of, he's sort of got a, like a goldfish. He's out for a little bit of likes and clicks and stuff. Could you be aiming too high, Icarus? Going only for the hot chicks. This is Christina's observation of her friend, who said that dating is a desert for men. Maybe you're not that selective with the pictures you use. Most men suck at this. They don't even use their best angles. Angle maxing. Get on it, guys. Perhaps you don't have a proper biomaxing. Or maybe you need to work more on your casual chatting skills, chat maxing. It's not that complicated, I'm telling you. Simplification maxing, but I bet I could. Wait a damn minute, that's a terrific idea. Why don't I pretend to be you on a dating app and help you land a girl? You know what? I got this. Because women totally know what women want. That's sarcasm. They know what they want because they respond. Well, do they know consciously? They respond to what they want, but what they respond to, they don't want to admit. Like things like you actually have to do studies to find out, because women don't want to be honest about what they respond to. The recent study that I talked about on this channel was finding out that women are genuinely attracted to a sociopathic personality style. Now, I was one of the people like way back when who was like, no, that can't be right. What they're attracted to is confidence. Nope. The researchers who found this out controlled for confidence. Women are literally attracted to the personality style of psychopaths. And then they will say that the psychopaths or the sociopaths are faking something. No, they're not faking something. This is their personality style. This is the personality of someone who has a psychopathic or a sociopathic emotional frame, right? That's what you're responding to. It's an emergent property. What you don't like is the fact that it's an emergent property of somebody with a psychopathic emotional frame, right? But it's the whole package, ladies. They're not faking it. You just like that. You're attracted to it. And like I said, way back when I read something similar and I was like, oh no, the researchers didn't control. Nope, they controlled for confidence this time. It is genuinely women are attracted to sociopathic personality styles, right? So this is why all of these women are saying, all of these women apparently are dating the same awful men. Yes, you are, because you are attracted to that personality style. You all are. And it's not even an issue of looks. I mean, if a man has a sociopathic personality style and he's good looking, he's going to be rolling in it. But, it's not just looks. Like the incels are not completely accurate. It is literally the sociopathic personality style that women want. And unfortunately for women, this is like one of the rarest traits of men is sociopathy. Like it's like it's like 1%, 2% maybe, right? There's more men that are above like 6'3" than are sociopathic, right? So they get, you're all after the same group, like stable of sociopaths. They're having fun and they don't care. Like they literally do not care. All the Christians can trot in and shame, do the male shaming that they want, or the more traditionalist people who also focus on blame, but blame men from that vantage point that they're not wifing up these women. They can do all they want. These men will never change because this is who they are, right? If you wanted them to change, you'd have to do some kind of genetic therapy. And I'm sure there are prohibitions against that. And then all the women will be disappointed because where would they get the hot men? This is more or less what she told him. So the summation of all that is women aren't really honest about what they like because it's not flattering. Okay, so back to this Christina taking over her friend's profile. So she basically poo-poos his experience and says, no, you're just doing something wrong. Because, blaming men, that's what we do. And just like that, the stage was set for our girl to show her brilliance and prove her foolish male friend how easy it is to press a modern woman. After all, what could go wrong? How hard could it be? Dating apps are her specialty. Every day she's getting thousands of swipes and hundreds of messages, and she's not doing anything special for it. If there's anyone who could give lessons on this, it's her. All you need is some confidence, or so she thought. And does she even have confidence? Like, a fast forward a few days, her new video comes out. Y'all, I've been on a virtual boy for 3 days on this dating app, and I'm already hating women. Me? Are you kidding me? Only after 3 days? I never felt this bad about myself. I feel like a freaking loser. Me, eye roll, no shit. Every woman loves a confident man, but have any of you wondered how long a man's confidence can last when he's been giving no actual reason to be confident? Oh, well, let's be honest here. If you're a sociopath, your confidence lasts forever because you don't give a crap. Like if a woman says no, who cares? It's not like your personality, like it's not like your ego is really invested in it or you feel a sense of shame or humiliation. Just go to the next one until someone says yes or allows you to get her alone. Like that's how you roll. It's almost like previous like traditionalism really mostly what it did was just get the average conscientious guy who has a normal emotional frame, just give him a chance, just like get him through the door. Hey, this is a nice dude, he's a good provider, he works he's conscientious, he works well with others. It was almost like being a good provider sort of demonstrated that. being a good provider, going to church, saying your prayers, pursuing that particular kind of series of ethics. It was almost like that actually gave men like that a foot in the door in terms of getting a date or getting a wife. And now we're just in our sociopath era. That's actually really even sadder than the height thing. Like, that's really sad. And there's nothing that you can do to get these guys to commit to anyone because it's just not in them to do. You see, my friend is a 6'10" as far as looks go, but I'm getting desperate, swiping on the 2s and 3s, and even they won't like me back. So what level of delusion has entered women's heads? This is Christina again. Christina ends the video with a frustrated sigh. I sigh too, but for a different reason, because you're a terrible writer, and now I suspect you're a woman. While she has genuinely experienced being a man for 3 days, she's now going back to being a woman and feeling sexy, desired, and loved without doing basically nothing to earn it. It's not her fault, but damn, that's great. Meanwhile, we men, some more than others, but still, have to deal with everything she complained about for all of our lives. Awesome. And worse than anything, Christina didn't even reach the proper conclusion after her eye-opening experience. The conclusion here is not that the not-so-good-looking and less interesting women are delusional. The real conclusion is that, unlike women, many men won't get better treatment, better results, more attention, more love and appreciation, even if they settle. Ask any man, and he'll tell you that's worse than settling itself. Lol. Yeah, that's the problem is it doesn't seem to be any more the case that if men go down in terms of what they're going to accept in terms of looks, that they will get a woman who will actually treat them well. I have an explanation for all of this, but that's for another day. On a psychological second thought, maybe women like Christina are more genuine than I initially gave them credit for. After all, no matter how much you try to understand the other gender, only by walking in their shoes can you understand what they go through. Oh my God. This is the padding disease. I too had a rude awakening one time when a random gay man tried to seduce me. For the first few minutes, I was on the receiving end of male attention. I was no different than a woman for my suitor. I was no different for, oh, I see. He's talking about the gay guy who hit on him. As soon as I found myself bothered by many things I previously did not consider or deep down judged women for. Why don't you go buy yourself another drink? He said to me after he flirted with me for 10 minutes, about 2 minutes after I realized he was actually flirting with me and not being a weirdo. Man, not saying that I would, but if he wants to have sex with me, he should at least have the decency to buy me a drink, I said to myself while smiling with the idiocy of the situation. Wait a damn minute. Why do I feel entitled for something from him? I always thought women were materialistic or loved taking advantage of men when they expected things like this. But I'm starting to see how a woman could feel resentful, impatient, and dismissive when she's courted by someone who she has zero sexual attraction for. I had an epiphany right there on the spot. Okay. All right. See, this is why I said, spoilers, this guy's a simp. So he does all of that. He talks about this woman who found out. He lays a few truthful statements. And then he goes into this is the payload. Oh, guys, you have to be okay with gay men hitting on you, or if a gay man hits on you and you feel this way, now you know what women feel like. No. Okay, a clue. Let's have a clue here. We are here, all of us are here, because the average woman and the average man got together and had babies. And I know there's this genetic study about 80% of men to 80% of women reproduce to 20% of men. I've actually looked at that study. There were two bottlenecks, one about 100,000 years ago and one about 10,000 years ago. Now, these bottlenecks, they don't have an explanation. I think it's probably cultural. But immediately after the bottleneck, which it might be cultural, could have been a war, could have been a disease, could be the fact that patrilinear tribes, took over other tribes and all of their male descendants are related to them. There's a lot of explanations, but immediately after these pinch points, we go right back to pair bonding, like right back to one man, one woman. There are a lot of societies around the earth that do polygyny, but it's most relationships in those society are also monogamous. So when I say that we're here, and that is, 100,000 years is a blip in our evolutionary history. Okay. Like, we are pair bonders. The reason why we have our advanced society is because of that first economy. And what I mean by that is that men, or the male hominid way back in the past, provisioned the female hominid for their offspring, and she developed an attachment for him. There's no other way that this provisioning could have evolved unless the female hominid, little Lucy, developed an attachment for Enrico, or what, I forget his name. They developed an attachment, and they got, there was affection, and she ended up just wanting him. There's no way that provision would have evolved without female attachment to a specific man or to a specific male. So, so this is the thing. This is what we do. And even if 100,000 years ago we had a pinch point in terms of our genetics, in terms of the male line, and then 10,000 years another one, we're talking about the entirety of human evolution, which is millions of years. Drop in the bucket. 100,000 years is a drop in the bucket. And throughout that evolution, we were pair bonders. So yes, we're here because the average woman finds the average man attractive, or should. And yet, what's happening today? Something has gone wrong, right? This is, and literally think about it logically. We're a pair bonding species. This doesn't work unless the average female finds the average male attractive. And we have all kinds of evolved features that suggest we are pair bonding. We do have a dichotomy in size, but it is not as big as truly polygynous or promiscuous species. If it was, men would be the size of orcs. Like, literally, women would be, 4'5", and men would be 8 feet. Right? That would be the kind of size differential. And then men would also have huge incisors. That's the other thing. Like, this is another dimorphic quality that we lost. Men don't have gigantic incisors. Like, if they did, if we were genuinely a polygynous or a or a promiscuous species, men would have incisors that you literally, like, you couldn't close your mouth, right? Well, I mean, I guess chimpanzee males can close their mouths, but you know what I mean. It'd be ridiculous. They would look like orcs. They don't. You look like more masculine. Like, we're too alike. And the size difference is exactly the same as the other classic monogamous species, which is wolves, right? About 20%, most of it in the shoulder. And yes, there's a significant strength difference. Same with wolves, but they're still pair bonders, and we are pair bonders. And that means that throughout our evolutionary history, the average woman found the average man attractive. Something has gone seriously wrong. And you can't blame men for this. Because men... Uh-oh. Did I just go... did something just screw up?
It just froze. It just did.
Yeah, let me fix that, guys. I know you guys can still hear me. Sorry about this. It just periodically does that because... I don't know. I guess it's just the mental presence of Void Cat somewhere in the room. Okay, there we go. I should be back. Am I back?
No.
Nope. Well, then just let me restart.
Refresh it. Yeah, try that.
Yeah. Just give me a second here. It's a little like I'm using the Osmo Pocket. If anybody has some info about how to fix this so the Osmo doesn't do that, I'm guessing it's just a problem with the cord, but it seems to be the situation with every single cord. So let me try to fix this. How's that? Are we back?
Yes, we're good.
Oh, really? Like,
yeah, it's back.
For some reason, it says the video is not available on. A video has been removed by the uploader on YouTube.
No, it started another instance, but it's been like that since the beginning. It's up. It's on YouTube.
Oh, okay. So, all right. Hi, everybody in the vertical chat.
Just go to the. Yeah,
Am I
just
still
go to
sharing the
the.
tab?
Yeah, you're still sharing the tab.
Excellent. All right.
Also, there's a
Let's.
super chow, just so you know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. I'll get to that. Let me finish this. I know this was a very long ramble, but the ultimate conclusion is that the average man should be attractive to the average woman. Period. That this is just a given by the nature of how we evolved. Yes, there were those genetic pinch points. Yes, all kinds of social things are happening. But if that isn't the case, then something has gone wrong. And we have to figure out what has gone wrong. And just blaming men doesn't cut it. And so when he says, "Oh, these women have zero attract," like it's the same as getting hit on by a gay guy. Not really. Not really. That's not really the situation that we're dealing with, because you don't you don't have to have necessarily gay attraction in a species for that species to continue. Now, there's some theory that it may facilitate other things like communality or something, um bonds or whatever, like the band of thieves in Thebes and like Athens or whatever. But regardless, you really don't need gay attraction to perpetuate a species. I think we can all agree with that. I don't know if that's homophobic. So it's not the same. You do need a female hominid to be attracted to the average male hominid for the perpetuation of the pair bonding hominid species. So it's like these things are not comparable, and he's going to compare them. As a man, again, he was hit on by a gay guy. I don't think I've ever felt remotely close to this for a woman. Sure, I have my standards, but having a healthy PP sure low. No. Having a healthy penis sure lowers them to a point where thinking that a woman has to go above and beyond to impress me somehow, just for me to even consider moving past the ick of sleeping with her, is something I never felt. And yet, now we have men who are actually selecting women they don't find attractive because they're so desperate for some kind of companionship. And I've actually seen articles on Medium about women who find out that their husbands never found them attractive. And believe me, those women are not happy with that circumstance. They consider it like a form of rape, almost. All right. I don't know how to explain it properly, but there's a difference between nah and hell no, I'd rather have none. We men don't get the same level of icks as women get. I wonder how much of this is an effect of like our modern understanding of sexual identity. I mean, because it is modern. Like the whole concept of heterosexual is, was coined by or created by a German psychologist in like the 1850s. So, because the thing is that it's more than just sexual desire and the desire to reproduce. It's a desire to have a socially approved identity, which is women's approval, basically, in our society. I'm not so sure that that was as much of a compulsion way back when. Okay, I doubt when men didn't take, I mean, on average, men would desire women, of course, but they didn't take an identity from that desire. They took an identity in service to their God and their church. I don't think most men would rather have none. That's not how our sexuality works. We have a short arousal fuse, and it doesn't make much for us to be satisfied at a bare minimum level. Hence why plenty of men are willing to go for the 2s and the 3s, like Christina put it, rather than be left with their penis in hand. I am not saying the word pee-pee. I just did, but not seriously. Those men find themselves in a situation in which they have to pursue women they don't even like just to feel the touch of a woman. Foolish indeed, but I thought beggars can't be choosers. At some point, as a judgmental society, we have to decide which of the two is more outrageous. All right, so basically he's framing it as, is it more outrageous that the average woman doesn't desire the average man, or is it more outrageous that the average man is upset with the situation? Just give me a moment here. Let me collect my thoughts, because I have a lot of very scattered thoughts, as you might have noticed, and sometimes I require collecting them, which is why, I have these long pauses. But Okay, so the one scenario is Christina pretending to be a man and finding out men are invisible, like the average man is invisible on a dating app. And this scenario is him being hit on by a gay guy and realizing that it's uncomfortable to be hit on by somebody you have zero sexual attraction for. Would that hold if it was a really ugly woman? Like that's the question. I mean, I don't think these two things are comparable. And I think ultimately making them comparable muddies the waters. I think he's trying to say, but women have it bad because they get all of this attention from men they don't find attractive. Well, yes, but the problem is that they don't find them attractive, and that's functionally impossible because throughout our evolutionary history, the average woman had to find the average man attractive. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here and we wouldn't be pair bonders and we wouldn't have an elaborate society that we do. Okay, I'll throw that out there. See what you guys think. And now we'll go to the special chat because the other one, could you pop me the link to the other chat so I can take a look at what people are saying, and then I'll go
You mean
out.
the main chat or the special chat?
Yeah.
The main chat?
The main chat, yeah. Like
Okay, hold on.
the new instance that it decided to create.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So somebody has remarked upon my glasses. I get migraines. Leave me alone. Yeah, the odd thing is the only one that matters for biological reproduction is how men feel. Derek Workman. Yeah, maybe, but humans are a lot more complex than simple like sexual urges. That's why we have like computers and LED lights and cat YouTube channels and cats. Right? We have this sort of thing that we do. We respond very much to vulnerability. It's why we have two species of animals that have basically turned our response to vulnerability into an ecological niche that they exploit. Cats and dogs. I don't know about horses. Horses are skeptical of us generally, so I don't know if they really feel the same kind of warmth as cats and dogs do. But like that makes us very different. I mean, maybe ants have aphids as like cattle, but I don't think ants have pets like we do. And that literally is a reflection of how much we respond to vulnerability. So yeah, you could say, well, men could just get their griping on, but I don't think it functionally works out that way. There is only vertical on YouTube. Let me double check this.
There's only vertical on the live streaming channel. Yes.
Yeah, there's only vertical on the live streaming channel. Nope, looks like yeah, it's working. It's just not. It wasn't for YouTube is creating a lot of new instances for some reason. Is there a particular reason? Who knows? YouTube's just being ass. All right. YouTube has its PP in its hand. Okay, Sir Biggles gives us 5124. 5124. Is that a special number? Sorry, I shouldn't laugh. Thank you very much for that 51 and 24. Very specific 5124. Good work as always, Alison. I usually lurk, but I thought I would throw some coins in the pot this time. Well, thank you, Mr. Sir Biggles. It was in the movie, it was Mr. Biggles, wasn't it? That's why okay. But thank you, Mr. Biggles. Sorry for teasing you about the number. I am really curious though. And did we get a super chat or super chat on anything else or Rumble rant, Brian?
No.
No. Okay. Yeah. So if you want to go to Honey Badger Radio, I've been putting the ones that are just me on that. We ended up having multiple channels simply because periodically YouTube decides to try to eradicate us, and we have to like play they play a game of whack-a-mole, so we have little holes that we go into. But I figured I'd try to revive this channel with a bit of content just in case we need it in the future. All right. So that was that article. Now we have another article that I wanted to show you guys. It is called Men Know Men. Okay, so I'll share this tab. I'll go through this until I get to the end of the, you know what? Actually, I'm just gonna find it. There's my aggressive typing. Okay. I'm just gonna find this and I will read it out. For whatever reason, I can't import the articles in Medium into Speechify or the whole one, so I just get the preview, and I guess that's a little bit disconcerting. So here we go. Men know men are undateable. So do women. Like I said, we evolved so the average man is attracted to the average woman. Something has gone seriously wrong. And nobody wants to talk about it. They just want to say, well, I just, there's slim pickings and men are blah, blah, blah. Like, no, there's something wrong. There's something species ending wrong going on. And we can't just blame men. All right. It happens like clockwork. Clockwork. Very dramatic. A man finds out you're not interested in men, whether romantically, sexually, or in general, and immediately demands an explanation. Why not? Hey, Brian, I have a question because you're a guy. When you discover a woman is a lesbian, do you ask her why?
No.
Have you ever?
No.
I mean, you used to live amongst the lesbians.
I did.
Did you ever notice another?
I would joke with them because some of them were a little bit sensitive about like men knowing they were lesbians. Like they'd be like, I'm a lesbian and don't think you can change that. It's like, well, I think I can now that you say that. But I don't generally care. No, that's never come up.
Yeah, but it's basically it sounds like you're just ribbing them, right?
Yeah, I am. I'm just messing with them. Well, the thing
just
is,
messing with them.
Like they say, like I'm a lesbian. I hope that's okay. It's like, dude, nobody cares. Nobody ever cared.
The thing is that I traveled in those circles for a while. Although, as a bisexual woman, I'm like radioactive to lesbians. But I some of the cooler ones I'd talk to and go to. There used to be lesbian bars. What the hell happened to that? Like, there's none anymore. But I never saw that. I never saw a man walk up to a lesbian and be like, why are you a lesbian? Usually men are like, yeah, I get it. I 100% get it. Like if there's any reaction from a man, it's usually, yep, I got you, sister. I know exactly why. But yeah, so I'm already pressing X to doubt here. Let's be honest. This isn't curiosity. It's an accusation. Dun, dun, dun. Men expect a full defense, a PowerPoint presentation, and thesis proving their universal dateability. If you say, I'm just not attracted to men, they push back. What if you met the right one? If you say you've had a bad experiences, they demand proof, as if your failure to cite all sources in APA format somehow invalidates your lived reality. That's really specific. You try to sound smart. Don't, though. You sound like you're an... Never mind. All right. Who cares? I mean, this is the problem with a lot of women. If a man demands something, you can say no. But there's already this framework where if a man demands something, you have to do it. Just be like, yeah, no. Or maybe, you know what? You could create a PowerPoint. I'll be like, here, sir, sit down and let me explain why I'm a lesbian. In 40-point font with citations. Okay, like... Why is it that the assumption here that she has to do what he says? Why is there always this assumption? It feels like when I read a lot of feminist stuff and lesbian separatist stuff, there's this idea of men being able to compel your actions and your thoughts. That's just ridiculous. Just say no and walk off. At this point, women need to stop explaining. Instead, just ask, why would you date a man? And then watch them unravel. Unless they're gay or bisexual. And then they'll be like, yeah, sure. If you're a man, read this before commenting, please. But here's the other thing. Again, just say because I'm gay. First of all, X to doubt. I've never heard this. I've never heard a guy go up to a lesbian and say, oh, why? Never. Of course, I'm not a lesbian, so maybe this does happen a lot to actual lesbians, but then they don't really travel in the same circles. But anyway, I don't know. It just seems a little odd. If you're a man, read this before commenting. Oh, I got the pick me exemption. If you saw the title and instantly identified with it, even though I'm not speaking about you specifically, ask you, okay, lady, men are undateable. So do women. You've basically called all men undateable. And then you're like, oh, if you feel called out, well, yes, because bigotry directed at a group of people, generally the group of people having that bigotry directed against, or that negative generalization directed against, you're applying it to them. Why is your first reaction to try to disprove women's experiences, including my own? Black people can't hold down a job. Do you understand why Black people might find that offensive? If I had said males or people instead of men, would you feel no? Because you're not calling out a specific group. Before you assume this is man bashing, are you making a generalization about me without knowing my history or peeping my bio? She's making a gigantic negative generalization about men. If you even recognize that she's doing it, you are the problem. Oh, man. And this stuff is endless on Medium, by the way, guys. Like, this is just an endless vomitous deluge of misandrous bullshit, of undercutting men's desirability as partners. So let us be clear. Holding men accountable isn't hating men. Okay, so now you're holding men accountable. Which men? Like if this is holding men accountable, then you mean all men. Right? You say, "Oh, I'm not talking about you if you're reading this, but I am totally talking about you because I want you to take accountability for this thing, this negative thing that I'm calling out." Do you see how that worked? Okay, she says a negative thing about men, right? If you recognize that she's saying a negative thing about men and you see yourself in it, that's on you. That's bad. You're not supposed to do that. But also, you personally need to take accountability for the negative thing she just said about men. You are what's wrong with the world, my friend, lady who wrote this. Pointing out obvious patterns isn't villainizing men. And encouraging women to ask men the same questions they demand from us isn't playing games. It's called critical thinking. So you're going to go up to gay men and ask them why they don't date women? Please leave the gymnastics to the professionals. Yes, you are a professional linguistic gymnast. And before you say not all men, remember, not all women are obligated to carry your disappointment. What? No, just you take responsibility for your shitty generalization, which you say, oh, if you recognize I'm making a shitty generalization about men, you are the problem. Also, I want you to take responsibility for my shitty generalization, but it's not about you. Good Lord. Why don't you, forget men's disappointment. How about not expecting men to carry your intellectual fuckery? It's not about attention, and men prove that instantly. Excuse me. When men reject the idea of dating other men, their first concerns aren't attraction. Instead, their priorities are sex, domestic labor, and reproduction. Who would... Who the hell? Okay, so guys, a lesbian says, when you ask her, why are you a lesbian? X to doubt that really happens that often. And not in like a teasing way that Brian suggested. And she says, well, why don't you date men? Your first response is, who would cook? I mean, the guy we just read, his first response was, you better buy me a drink first, which suggests he might be a little more hetero-flexible than he lets on, right? But apparently in her fantasy of the feminist andronicus. I use that term and people have been like, oh, I don't know if it's useful. Look, feminist andronicus is basically men as envisioned by feminist conjecture, because they have, I want to use a term that isn't men, because these things that feminists invent in their head do not resemble men. And yet they're constantly expecting men to take responsibility for their own imagined beings. Like they've constructed an entire new race, fictional race in their minds. And they're like, yeah, you vaguely resemble them. You take responsibility for them, men. She's talking about the feminist Andronicus, which is just this made up man. It's not about attraction. Okay. Who would cook? So man says to a lesbian, why are you attracted to women? And lesbian says, well, why aren't you attracted to men? And he says, who would cook? This is definitely an interesting guy who assumes that the boss babes of today would cook, but regardless, because apparently cooking is an act of submission rather than a basic survival skill. Am I responding to a freaking bot? Who would have the babies? As if relationships exist solely for procreation. Who would we sleep with? Because for men, relationships are often about access to sex, not partnership, not emotional connection, not mutual care. What? Okay, no, like this doesn't even make sense logically with your own could you please at least make your hypothetical consistent? Like a man asks the lesbian, why don't you sleep with men? And the lesbian says, well, why don't you sleep with men? And then he says, well, who would we sleep with? Well, obviously men. But here's where it gets interesting. Men already have sex with everything, with anything. So you thought the negative generalization that men are undateable is bad? Oh boy, we're going to get into a whole fleet of them. They're even worse. But don't take don't take personal offense. That means you're part of the problem. She's calling out all men, but don't take personal offense. That makes you part of the problem. Just take accountability. Okay, guys listening, let's find out what you have to take accountability for now. Men have sex with women, obviously. I guess that's a crime for a lesbian. Other men, yes, even those who swear they're straight. So we got the homophobia in here too. Children, disgusting, but statistically true. Male perpetrators commit the vast majority of CSA. I guess if you exclude prison guards and boys in juvenile detention facilities, that might be the case, and also teachers. They commit the vast majority of reported rapes. But again, as I say all the time, what is reported only indicates what society cares to look at and find. Animals, again, overwhelmingly a male statistic. No, it's not overwhelming. I don't even sure if they keep statistics on animals. It's just an assumption. Corpses, necrophilia is once again almost exclusively a male crime. Nope. Objects. Men have built entire industries around replicating women via sex dolls, AI girlfriends, and genetics. Objects. Men have sex with objects, guys. Women don't. No, that doesn't happen. That would be misogyny to point out that women have sex with objects. Dildos are what, a $7 billion industry? They dwarf every other sex toy, but women don't have sex with objects. No, that's just a man thing. So now, not only do you have to take responsibility for not being dateable, you also have to take responsibility for the minority of men who engage in sex with children, animals, corpses, and objects. But don't take offense. If you take offense, that means you're part of the problem. Just take accountability. She's not talking about you. She just wants you to take accountability. So if sex is the first thing they mention when discussing relationships with men, let's be clear. Men already have sex with anything they can. But commit to a man, care for a man, love a man the way they demand women love them, that's where the hesitation kicks in. Because deep down, they know what men are like. They know that men don't provide, don't nurture, don't show up. She says, typing on a computer built by a man, invented by a man, on electricity, maintained by a man. Yeah, men don't show up. No, they don't. If you're beginning to question the standards you've been taught to accept, you're not alone. And also, again, she starts out, she said, I'm not calling out men, or no, I'm not calling out you specifically. I just want you to take responsibility for all of the negative generalizations I'm going to lay down about men. If you're beginning to question the standards you've been taught to accept, you're not alone. When were women taught to, like, was there at any point women were taught, hey, you're an average woman, you get an average man? Was that ever even taught? It's a and when we had this whole like hysterias around men's lookism, what happened? We had all of these PSAs about men being shallow and that the average man should be attracted to the average woman. How come it only goes one way? You're not alone. Refusing to settle isn't just resistance, it's a reclamation of value. I explore this more deeply in my piece, Refusing to Settle. You're a lesbian. Why would you even be thinking about settling for men? Go find yourself a wife and go get divorced. Then find yourself another wife and get divorced and do some beatings and graping and all that lesbian things. Reclamation of value. I explore this more deeply in my piece, Redefining the High Value Woman, a reclamation, where I break down how women are reshaping worth beyond the shallow metrics men have tried to impose on us. You deserve more than survival. You deserve sovereignty. Everyone is now the Queen of England. You know that the Queen of England had a husband she loved a great deal? She managed to settle. If men don't, and he wasn't even really a king, at least not a reigning king. If men don't, he's a king consort, which is just like king because the queen is the queen. If men don't date men, why should women? So if that's good enough for Queen Elizabeth, why is the average man not good enough for you, lady? And also, you're a lesbian. Why are you even talking about the ins and outs of heterosexual attraction and mate making? If men won't date men, who should? Why should women? Because that's what got us here. And that's what's going to end us. When men say who would cook or who would have the babies, they're knowingly omitting something crucial. They don't see relationships as partnerships. They see them as transactions. Yeah, partnerships tend to be transactions, though. You do, one party does X, the other party does Y. They don't say, I'd miss deep emotional connection. I'd miss feeling safe and understood. I'd miss the way a woman supports me in the ways I never support her. Because men don't value those things. I'm just going to replace men with feminist Andronicus because I'm trying the Andronicus. I'll just call it the Andronicus because the Andronicus doesn't value those things. They don't miss what they're never given. So the next time an Andronicus asks, why don't you date men? Don't waste your breath. Just ask, would you? And if his first response is about cooking babies or sex, he's already answered his own question. Do you really offer emotional understanding to men, though? I mean, it seems like you think of them as significantly lesser beings that don't require emotional understanding. You probably give more emotional understanding to your dog. If we debate like men, let's set aside attraction. Men love to downplay women's grievances by dismissing systemic issues. That's just anecdotal. Not all men. Where's the statistical evidence? Dismissing systemic issues. Yes, because if you're claiming an issue is systemic, you have to bring your receipts. Remember those APA citations you mentioned at the beginning? Do you understand what that's for? When you're discussing a systemic, something that you're alleging is systemic, you got to bring the receipts. If you don't, it's not. Fine, let's play by their own rules. Let's take attraction out of the equation. Since men love to tell women that they should be more open-minded when rejecting a man, let's break it down as a social and practical argument. Would men date someone who constantly talks over them? Yes. Ignores their emotional needs. Guys, answer this question. I'll answer for you based on what I've heard men say. Yes, they date women, don't they? sees every conversation as a battle to win. Like you sound like you're describing yourself, lady. Never plans dates, puts in efforts, or remembers birthdays. Sulks or lashes out when they don't get what they want. Expects emotional support but won't return it. That's the real reason women don't want men, because they act like women or spoiled princesses. Because men, by their own admission, don't want to deal with men either. Okay, all right, you feminists, you got to decide. Are men overly emotional and then lash out whenever they don't get what they want? Or are they stoic and control and prioritize controlling their emotions? Or is it just whatever they need to be to win the argument in this moment? Like it's always a momentary thing. It's like this paragraph. I'm winning the argument this paragraph, even though the last paragraph I'd contradict myself utterly. And if men aren't signing up for it, why should women? Men don't date men because they don't find them attractive. Men know why we don't want them. They just don't like that we have a choice. Here's the truth. Men aren't confused about why women don't date them. They're just mad that women can reject them. Women don't even have to be dating, talking to, or engaging with men to get backlash. Simply existing in public is enough to get the easiest thing known to man, male attention, unwanted, unearned, and unavoidable. Well, you don't like that, just perpetually pick your nose and fart. There you go. Well, you'll probably just filter out all the guys who aren't nose-picking, farting fetishes. But in our own yards, a man slows down his car. Smile. You don't. Now you're a bitch. In traffic, you don't let him merge. Now you're getting honked at for the next 5 blocks. Are you sure that's a man thing? Road rage? Because I'm pretty sure statistically the women are actually engaging in more of that. I seem to recall a stat. Don't quote me on that, but I seem to recall a stat that women do their fair share of road rage. In the checkout line, that's a lot of groceries. No husband at home? What? That's a lot of groceries, no husband at home? What? Wouldn't a husband be like, wouldn't a sparse number of groceries suggest that she doesn't have a husband? Like, what? Could you make your made up bullshit? These aren't even anecdotes. They're just made up. In a medical office, the doctor dismisses your symptoms as stress. Maybe you just need to relax. I have a story about that. You think this is a woman thing, do you? You think men don't get the hypochondriac label, right? My husband used to get really, really bad nosebleeds. Oh, that sounds like really bad. He once lost a liter of blood with one of these nosebleeds. I took him to the emergency room. They turned him away because they didn't actually listen to what he was saying. And I'm like, he's like passing out in the car. And I'm like, no, this can't be. I'm not taking you home. We are going to get you to see a doctor. I had to go up to the emergency room and tell them, my husband is bleeding. Okay? He is actively bleeding. He doesn't look like it because it's going down his throat. You want him to vomit up a bunch of blood for you? And they finally took him in. When I went up and told them, okay, I'm going to make a big stink unless you don't, you do. And they took him in and they found out like his blood pressure was going down because he'd been bleeding so much. It was considering like a transfusion. This doesn't just happen to women. And that's an actual thing that happened. This doesn't just happen to women. It happens to everybody. Stop claiming this for yourselves, ladies. And that was a situation where if they hadn't taken him, he might have died. Maybe you do need to lower your stress. At work, you speak up. Now you're too aggressive. On the phone, he hears you, sweetheart, while refusing to fix the issue. He calls you sweetheart while refusing to fix the issue. Why are you talking about dating men if you're a lesbian at all? Online, you make a post. A man appears to tell you you're wrong about anything. You are wrong, though. Like, you're literally describing men to them. This is the one thing that men should have ownership over, their own thoughts and feelings. And you're presuming to say men are bad if they say, no, that's not right. You get to tell men who they are, do you? Women don't reject men just because of sexual attraction. They reject men because being around men is exhausting. I think somebody is having issues in her lesbian home and she needs to project them onto men. Again, lesbians, highest rate of divorce and abuse. Men aren't confused. They're just mad we've noticed. Next time a man asks, why don't you date men? Don't explain. Just ask, would you? And when he recoils, well, there's your answer. What are you going to do for the bisexual men who just say, yes, I prefer it? Update. They told us to settle. They told us it was good enough. They counted on our exhaustion. But women are waking up and we're setting the standard now. Ugh. You should see this woman's bibliography. She never stops talking about men. If dicks were tits, you'd keep your mouth shut. Is this still being shared? Yeah. 10 gaslight resistant phrases every woman needs to survive male manipulation. She, like, everything is about men. Why don't you go and be with a woman, Sarah Barnett? Go enjoy your life without your scapegoat. Oh, sorry, you can't. You have to actually have a scapegoat in order to endure the abuse, gaslighting, and general nastiness in the lesbian separatist community. All right. So let me go back to the special chat and see if there's anything going on. Every single so-called emotional labor women impose on each other. Yeah, it's like, I was actually thinking about that. What emotional labor do women think men want from them? Like, do you ever ask men, hey, what can I do for you? And if you don't, how do you know what you're doing is actually something that men want you to do? I'm really skeptical about the emotional labor thing generally, because when I was still interested, or when I was still around women commonly, they would be pretty exhausting themselves in terms of the level of drama and other stuff that was engaged in. But I mean, I'm basically a hermit now. Okay, so Alice says, get a life, please. I don't know who you're saying that to. If you're saying it to me, I believe I have one. If you're saying it to this woman, you might be true. You might be accurate. With J. Pip R. Eyes tired from staring at the colors. Arms limp beside the canvas. Time presses on my senses, wishing the work were finished, not rushed. Okay. Are we doing some beat poetry in the special chat? That's interesting. That's new. Cool movie nerd panda. Why are you wearing shades and doors? I'm not wearing doors. What are you talking about? It looks dumb. Well, yeah, but I'm not wearing doors, so. Okay, let's go to the actual chat, see what you guys are saying. Vouch School of Debate. Yeah, that is, isn't it? Like, I'm going to label you. I'm going to criticize you, but don't take it. If you take it personally, that's your fault. If you recognize that I'm engaging in bigotry, that's your fault. And it's more evidence that my bigotry is justified. Okay, let's see what else we got here. I have my little grab bag of stuff that I thought I would go through, since I still have about 20 minutes before Brian is going to shoo me off. Justifiably, I'm not saying it's wrong. Okay, let's see if I can share this. I'm doing something a little bit different this time, so we'll see if this works. Okay, window. Okay, here. Let's see. Can you see this?
Yeah, I can see that.
All right, hopefully this doesn't like, no, maybe I shouldn't share this because you might be seeing too much. Let me go back to over here. I have no idea what I'm sharing at the moment. I apologize, guys. Here we go. Go back to women have no clue. I'm going to have to just copy and paste this stuff and see if it works. So this is funny. Apparently, there's a woman on the Whatever podcast that does not agree or admit that women are not stronger than men or not as strong. And as a result of this massive amount of frustration, one of the podcast guys got snippy at her. Here we
And
go.
that is not how logic works. You can't just say that I'm willing to
tell me how
my...
logic works. Give me one rule of law of logic. Give me one law of logic. One.
Oh yeah, this is
it's
the
based
logic
in
one.
fact.
Sorry.
In truth.
What? What? Can you give me a single law of logic?
Can you?
Yes, I can
Okay,
give you
so
all the
this
laws. The first is the law of non-contradiction. The second is the law of excluded middle. How many would you like? Would you like to get into informal logic as well?
Yeah, go for it.
Would you like to get into the law of identity? That's the third law. What else would you like?
That's semantics at this point.
No, that's literally the opposite of semantics. Do you know what semantics are? Because that's not semantics.
Oh, good Lord.
Okay.
This feels like every Twitter conversation I've ever had. Although probably don't know quite as much about the laws of logic as he does. Could probably school me on that. All right. I thought that's pretty funny, though. Get back to your depth, lady. Oh, here's something interesting. Let me put this on my list here. For some reason, why is this not showing? Is it showing? Can you see the
No.
woman stuck with the
No.
$3,000 bill?
No,
All
you
right,
seemed. Did you do something like to? Did you stop
Did you
sharing
actually
and
hear
then try to
the-
reshare? I did hear the video. Yes.
Okay,
It just shut off now. Oh
just
no, it's
decide-
back.
like,
It's back. It's back.
It's back. Yeah, it just decides to randomly give me the opportunity to share these tabs, and then it takes it away. I'm confused. All right, so woman stuck with $3,100 diller bill after a blind date refused to pay for the 23 family members she brought along. Well, modern economy requires modern solutions, right? The audacity. Can you pay for my entire family? Oh, probably some friends as well. Okay, I thought I would add that. This is what men are dealing with, apparently. Well, just some men. A lot of men don't even get to that point. All right, so here's the classic. Another video of women engaging in violence towards men.
Y'all niggas is funny as a bitch. Oh my god.
Like, what do you do? She's totally incompetent, but you can't get rid of her. Like, follow him until she has a moment of not paying attention and sucker punching at people. Come on. Yeah. But, and this is...
You should lower the volume on that a little bit. It's like fighting
Oh,
with your
okay.
volume.
I'm not going to play it again. I'm just going to
Okay.
say that, we went through all of this condemnation of men not being able to control their emotions. This woman, this lesbian who, for whatever reason, is presuming to tell heterosexual people their business. She goes through and men can't control themselves. Really? I know that, this might be anecdotal, but there's a lot of evidence that men not only are expected to control themselves and do control themselves, as you can see here. This woman is certainly not controlling herself, but that men will also control each other. So if that guy started to swing, it's entirely possible that the other guys in the classroom would, get on his case for that. So that was another thing. This was interesting. So apparently the UK government has found out that boys don't respond well to shame. And now might be a good time to share your stories of how this is from Men Are Human, how teachers group blame the boys in class but ignore the same behavior in girls. APPG Men and Boys, we are currently undertaking an inquiry into positive messages to boys in schools. One of the messages we have heard several times while hearing evidence is that telling boys they are intrinsically dangerous. As for the phrase toxic masculinity, is counterproductive. Masculinity is a descriptive, neutral word which labels common attributes of men and boys. Any toxic behavior is carried out by individuals, not by men and boys as a whole. Oof. I wonder if that parliamentary decision to start recommending people watch Adolescence, which is the most ridiculous fiction ever, one of the most ridiculous fiction created ever. The boy is not part of a demographic that would carry out a crime like that. And I'm not even talking about his race. He has an intact family. His family doesn't appear to be abusive. His father does not have anger issues, considering the stress he was under and the fact he didn't really engage in any substantial violence. He talked very sternly to a kid who was stalking him, but aside from that, there was nothing. This is not the type of boy who does something like that. And presenting it as like almost a documentary, like a fictionalized documentary, like these are real events, or it's based on actual statistical reality, and putting it into the schools to shame boys. Yeah, that's not really working. Not working out for you guys. Actually, you know what? I don't even know if this is a government initiative. Oh yeah, it is. It is a cross APPG. Men and Boys is a cross-party UK parliamentary group to develop policy on disadvantages, poor outcomes faced by men and boys. It's the first time I've heard about them. I mean, if they're actually genuinely looking at the issue and not just being like, oh, but women are the most affected, good on them. But yeah, you got a lot of damage to fix. And the only way that you're really going to start fixing it is by getting feminism out of schools. So good luck. Good luck with that. All right. Let's do another. Here we go. Here's another one. Relevant to the last article we looked at. Let me get the sound up. And you want me to lower it. Tell me if this works.
This is for the girlies that always have another guy.
Yeah, it's good.
Like, not always have another guy. Maybe I should reword that, but like,
Well,
have someone
like the whatever
attractive that they're hooking
podcast.
up with, and then they stop that, and then they have someone else, and like, where are you finding these fucking men? Because on the dating apps, everyone's fucking ugly. I'm sorry. Everybody is fucking ugly.
Let's get a good look at her.
I'm not going out to bars, so I'm not meeting people.
Did that
there.
expand
Even
it?
If I was going out to bars, those are not the men I want to meet.
Yes.
The gym, no one fucking talks to you. I have resting bitch face, so nobody's coming my way. No one's talking to me. So where are we meeting these men that are actually attractive? Because everywhere I look, it's ugly, ugly, ugly. There are so many attractive women, and there's so many unattractive men. I'm sorry.
Oh God, lady, you are a victim of your own desire for social proof. The instant a man has a woman on his arm, he becomes attractive. I'm guessing that's what's going on here. It's like this situation that you have to have a job before you can get a job. Like for this woman to find you attractive, you have to be pre-selected by another woman. Unfortunately, I don't think she has the chops to be a home breaker. So, and also, lady, no offense, but do you honestly think that the average man is unattractive? You think that the average man is unattractive. You think that the average man is unattractive. But the average man, I mean, I'll throw this out to the crowd, but I think the average man is actually might be a bit above her in terms of, I mean, she's aiming a little high, not excessively high. And God knows I shouldn't be speaking, but I mean, really, you telling me the average man is unattractive? And I think that average is you getting a steal, my dear. But you know, like, and the only reason why I'm saying that is because she's saying that the average man is unattractive. Well, mm, yeah, is he really that unattractive relative to you? I mean, if you're going to be honest and not just listen to your friends saying that you're a perfect 10. Okay, all right. So I mean, anyway, this is I think a lot of this stuff directly contradicts. And again, this has nothing to do with their personality here. At least she's being honest. She's just like, yeah, they're ugly. They're physically unattractive. And unless they have a woman on their arm, suddenly they become attractive to me. I wonder why. It's a mystery. Because you want social proof, because you exist in a hive mind and you don't know what you yourself as an individual want. Okay, I'm going to take another look at the chat. Special chat. Hi, special chat. Please don't sentence lesbians to her. No, I didn't. I'm not sentencing lesbians to her. I'm sentencing lesbian separatists to her. There is a difference. There's a huge difference. Okay, a grill is mid when whining about mids. That grill is a mid whining about mid. Yeah. Yeah. It just feels like I feel like if she thinks that the average man is unattractive, that they're like, again, that's an evidence of the problem that I'm pointing out. At no time in the history of humanity, when we were evolving prior to those two events where we had the genetic pinch points, which nobody really knows why, we evolved as a pair bonding species, which means that the average male hominid was attractive to the average female hominid. And this woman can't find a man that she finds physically attractive. Something is going, unless he's pre-selected by a woman. Something is going wrong. And I think part of it is the pre-selection used to be family. You know what I mean? Like a man would have a family backing him up. And maybe that's really what she's looking for, but it no longer exists because we're so atomized. I don't know. She thinks attractive people have better personalities. She didn't say that attractive people have better personalities. She simply said that men are ugly, and that's why she's not interested, which I think is more honest than that long list by the lesbian trying to tell heterosexual people their business about how men are emotionally awful and other stuff. This woman doesn't know. She just finds the average one. And this is, I think, far more representative than whatever that lesbian separatist thought men think as an excuse for everything. All right. Yeah, my cat is having a bit of a fit. All right, let's see. Nova fan, a woman being dumb on the whatever podcast. I never thought that would happen. Okay, let's see in the other chat. Oh, hey. Kothi Swiss gives us $5. Thank you, Kothi Swiss. I think you're new, so welcome. Welcome to the channel. I hope you enjoy your stay. A Norwegian, a peasant woman had to make do with a peasant man back in the olden days. You know, for a longest time, I was thinking about why there are castes, why there are classes, you know, that kind of thing. And I realized it might be in part to control women's hypergamy. Okay. So if you're a peasant woman, you get a peasant man. You don't get a king unless you have like Denmark as part of your dowry. Right. So it's like that whole system sort of controlled women's expectations. So you're not going to end up with the prince, but maybe you'll get like the good looking blacksmith's son. You know, that's the guy that everybody's after, at least in your village. Oh, it's a thought. But okay. Modern 304s are terrified of the idea of a mother-in-law. A woman who won't take your shit. Actually, there was something interesting that Shuon had said in her recent video about vloggers and why vloggers actually are willing to openly express care and compassion for men. It's because of the anonymity. And she pointed out that if you're a woman who does this, the sisterhood will pile on you and make your life a misery. I've experienced that. I just don't give a fuck. Yeah, so it's true. And maybe V-bloggers, those women with the anime
VTubers.
VTubers. Thank you. VTubers. Thank you, Brian. Maybe they do that because they do have the benefit of anonymity. They aren't revealing their face. People won't know them in real life. So they can express these feelings. Maybe it's more common among women than you might imagine. It's just that all of the vocal, extremely aggressive, sociopathic women, like lesbian separatists, they are being extremely aggressive towards other women and silencing them, policing them. I don't know. It's a possibility. I mean, that could be why VTubers are more likely to express care and compassion for men. Then they get doxxed because they did. A Norwegian, the sisterhood can pound sand. Yep, the sisterhood can pound sand. I don't want to be part of any system that excuses female bad actors at all, right? Either towards men or other women or children or anything. So just miss me with that shit. I'm not interested in a sisterhood that capes for female psychopaths. All right, let's see if there's anything else in my little grab bag of tricks. Okay, this is interesting. See, check my. Oh wait, I apologize. We are getting close to the end, so I must be away. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this. Comment below on any of the subjects, or if you want me to specifically address your comment and you want to send us a tip, feedthebadger.com/justthetip. Very much appreciated all of your attention, all of your kind comments. No, I don't. I'm not wearing doors, so I'm not sure where you're coming from, guy. I don't have any doors on me. Just I don't see where that came from. But anyway, thank you all for joining, and have a lovely evening, afternoon, whatever you are, wherever you are. Thank you for your kind attention. Please like, share, hit the bell for notifications, put a comment in the comment below, and again, share, because sharing is caring, as Brian says all the time. And actually, I'll do a few things. If you'd like to join us in our community where I put a lot of my sources, I prefer to put them there. I'm constantly updating the source channel. You can do so at feedthebadger.com. No, badgernation.online. badgernation.online to join us in our Discord community. Very much appreciated. Come help me out with sourcing this stuff. Make show suggestions. I take a lot of the suggestions that we end up doing from there. So once again, badgernation.online, and I'll see you in the next one.
Men's rights activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.